Hello and welcome back, everybody. This is a new interview in the series of The Amazing Autistic Woman. I'm Tanya, your host, and I'm happy to have you back. In this series, I interview women on the autism spectrum, showing our everyday life struggles, our problems, and limitations. Autism is an invisible disability, and that's why our environment usually dismisses and ignores us. That's why I feel it's very important to make us heard and seen in society. And if you want to see more autistic women in my interviews, then please support me. There's a GoFundMe link below the video. You can contribute and help me to make the autistic woman be seen and heard in society. Thanks. Now let's welcome today's guest. This is Monica in the Netherlands. Hi, Monica.
Hi, hi, you all.
Thank you for coming, Monica. So you are married, you have one child at 3 and one expecting, and you live the family life in the Netherlands.
Yes,
You had an early diagnosis, so how did that impact your life and your attitude towards the autism?
yeah, my diagnosis was very early, and in the 90s, I was born in 1988. It was very rare to be diagnosed that young for autistic women, and still, it's
Mhm.
maybe in puberty and after. And if you are 50, that's not uh, a weird age to be diagnosed as a woman. But I was 3.5 years old, so I was always on special education programs, stuff like that. Um, I didn't knew any better. I always told everybody I have autism and ADHD. I have no shame about it. But um, I rather quickly found out that people um, have a negative view on autism. I rather, and I first say I have ADHD, then that I say that I have autism because people will always treat you differently afterwards. When I go to school, I go to with a special bus, a taxi bus. Then it's called, yeah, you're with the retarded bus or something like that. People really shamed you for that. So that was kind of difficult. My schooling experience, I get bullied a lot, but for the rest of it, it was nice schools, and it was a lot smaller than the regular ones. Um, when I was uh, in school, most of the time the classes were about with about 10 people in it, so that was nice. It was very structured, and so I like that. But yeah, uh, all all the time being seen as um, or it's been overlooked, and people say, ah, you can't have autism because you speak so well and you're doing fine, or being called like a retard, like really stupid, and being babied all over the time, even when I'm grown up. That's really difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine. And you think this is still like that today, right? Do you feel
Yeah,
unseen as
yeah.
well? Mm.
I had an incident like this 1.5 years ago when I was volunteering for an parent group um, in the Netherlands. All the libraries, they have a parent-child hour where
Mhm.
the children are being read to every month, and the parents get to know each other and have a support system for each other. But uh, I was in charge, and the person who read the stories was also there. And at the end, there was a thing with a key, they had to be returned, and she didn't know what arrangements were made. Now, I already knew, I already had it all covered, but she was like, she insisted to call that person, and I'm saying like, I'm autistic, I'm afraid to make phone calls, so I won't. It's already been arranged. It's gonna be fine. No, but I want to make that phone call, and I'm gonna take care of it. Uh, Together we can do this. And she was an old kindergarten teacher, but she also taught. She made me look like a toddler, and I was like, I was always guiding you. You didn't know the things, and I was guiding you to make it all going good. And then you are suddenly treating me like a fool because I don't like to make phone calls, and I'm autistic. So still today, this happens a lot.
Mm. So you told me that you are getting some kind of support, and
Mhm.
um, do you want to share what it is and if it was hard to get it?
Yeah. When I was growing up, it was very hard because as I told you before, or people say, "Oh, you're not autistic at all,"
Mm.
or they want to take over all the things. Both aren't good. Uh, they should help you stimulate to do the things and empower you, but most of the time they didn't. Um, Also, growing up, they called me very extreme because I have difficulties, but it really isn't. You react on your environment, and you um, are are just the same as boys, but they treat you differently
Mm.
because boys are we boys. They are rough. They are not as social as girls, but we girls can have those issues too.
Yeah.
So that was not nice. But now I have some good professional help. It's also founded by the local government. It's called WMO in the Netherlands. And it's for people who are disabled. Like if you have a wheelchair, it's funded by the local government. But also the interviews that I have weekly for 1.5 hours with a coach who is specialized in people with autism. Um, I often find um, uh, sometimes people with autism are coaches themselves, so that's great if they are able to do that. Uh, but also, mothers from children who have autism really know it best because they don't look at a book, the education that they got with a lot of misinformation,
Yeah.
but they treat you as a person instead of
Yeah.
a case, a client, and that works for me. For me, I have troubles with keeping up the household, keeping structure. Um, I have big emotions, emotion regulation problems, but now it's going good. I also have now. Um, I always been on some kind. Now I have been a long time not, but I've been from my seventh till my 20s on Ritalin. Um, that's suppresses and Dixorid. That's also it suppresses your blood rate, so you literally calm down. And Ritalin is more for your brain to stop and think about things before you do it. It's the impulse control. And now I have antidepressants because when I had my first child, I get in a postpartum depression. I already was familiar with depressions. I had like 2 or 3 before that, but there were some big life changes, of course. And my husband was in a burnout, and there was coronavirus all over the world, and it was very uncertain. And And that's also very much a problem for people with autism. They like structure. So if
Yeah.
everything is that you don't know, people didn't know about the disease, about uh, things closes, things opened again. I want to go on a sport, but then the next week I couldn't anymore. So that was a very hectical time for me. So then I have to talk about it and to uh, talk about it with somebody, and what can I do to as a um, uh, alternative. Yeah, what are the alternatives? What can I do? What can I control? And
Mm-hmm.
also, I've been in and out of therapy sometimes, and I learned there the wheel of influence. So this is where you have influence on, and um, I often tend to overthink. So I'm always there. The coronavirus worldwide happening. Um, People are starving from because of the lack of food. Or when I was 10, I was thinking about that, the big stuff. And
Yeah, yeah.
now I know I can do this in my circle of influence.
Mhm.
I can manage my own reactions, not the reactions of other people. If they totally misunderstand me, that's not nice, but I can't do anything about it. I can only be responsible for my own actions.
Yeah.
So that really helps me to stay present, grounded, and yeah, help me to be calm. And
Mm-hmm.
I also have um, help in the household.
Mm-hmm.
You can call it housekeeping. Um,
Yeah.
for also 1 hour and a half a week, to because otherwise it will get stuck in my head, and it all I can't take it anymore because it's too much. And now I'm with little steps, with help of somebody, I can manage the household.
Mm-hmm. Good, yeah. You talked about this circle of influence before. I will attach links to it below the video so people can have a look. Basically, it's just an image showing what can I control myself and what can I not control. And I think it's very helpful.
Yeah,
Hmm. Um, you already gave us a few things. You told us a few things that are limiting you in everyday life. Do you want to give us the full list?
yeah. Do you have a sec?
Yeah.
um, Problems with eye contact, but with other people didn't realize that people with autism rarely look somebody in the eye. They always look just above it, or something like that, or at the nose. Um, and when I'm in a busy environment, I lose. Um, I, I'm losing my concentration. My cat is joining us, and with stimuli like too bright of a light, I often get headaches. So I always have sunglasses with me. I have a noise canceling headphone because that are my two main triggers:
Mm-hmm.
too much light and too much noise.
Yeah.
So I can center myself and be calm again. So that's very helpful. um, Overseeing the bigger picture, because when you are detail oriented, you are looking at all the small stuff. And that's why housekeeping is too hard for me sometimes, because when I clean a room, I want to really clean it, not 100%, but like 1,000% clean. But sometimes you have to do it a bit like that, and do what you can. But I always see things that needed to be done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you overthink, you overwork yourself, because um, I always say people with autism are born with a bad battery. You know, your phone, when he's getting old, that you can charge it and you can charge it and you can charge it all over again, but it really goes quickly like that, quickly goes low. That's for people with autism too. When we go to sleep, it's not a guarantee that we will wake up and be full of energy and ready for the day.
Yeah.
But they also talk about spoon theory, that you have like 10 spoons. But if you're using 3 spoons already to get up, uh, change your clothes, and making coffee for yourself or something like that, breakfast, and then you have only 7 left for the day, then you can't do anything you want on the list. So you have to manage your energy as well. That's very necessary. So yeah, I could go on and on, but I think that's the most important things for me to remember, to balance life, to not overthink, um, to manage my stimuli, and do don't overplan things, because when I have energy, I'm tended to do much more than I can, and then my I don't feel that my body is struggling, and then you pass out, you lay in the couch and like, I just run a marathon, I can't anymore, but
Yeah.
maybe it's still 11 a.m., so you have to go continue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially now I'm a mom, I really should focus on that.
Yeah. It must be very difficult with a small child in the house.
Yeah,
How do you cope with that?
yeah, the similar things. When he was I have a son right now, almost 3. um when he was very young, little children cry, they cry a lot. So there is some things you can do about it. It's the 5 things: eating, his is he warm enough or cold, uh, all that sort of stuff. Is he in a nice diaper? But when you have that, they still 99 of the time they just cry, because that's the way how it works, how they cope with things.
Mhm.
Then I put on my noise canceling, or I go to the uh, washing machine. If babies are looking at the washing go round and round and round, they're very intrigued. So that's a very helpful tip.
Oh, good.
Go outside. That's also a very nice. It's good for you and the baby. And as I mentioned earlier, the older child groups, they are very nice. Or go to um, a small animal farm or something like that,
Mhm.
that your child is going to have the stimuli they need, and you can rest and only look if they're okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes a world of a difference. And also, um, take care of yourself, of your personal hygiene, of your mental hygiene. It's very important too. People in the Western world often forget that physical hygiene, like changing clothes or going to exercise, but also the mental hygiene is very important, like uh, getting enough rest, getting enough help. So my family-in-law helps out a lot. Um, Sometimes even with cleaning or with taking care of the baby. That's very important that you ask for help. You don't have the luxury anymore to just run and crash all over again, because you have to continuously take care of your child.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's an important part, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. Um, I guess your husband supports you also if he is back from.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's very important to be a real good team, and he is. He's also autistic, so I really sometimes have to say to him what I need. I don't. I think it's the same with neurotypical persons, but I have to be very literal about it. So you have to clean these dishes today. You have to do this right now. I have to really be specific about it.
Hmm.
So, and yeah, that's really a thing we learned about in these years. Um,
Yeah.
in the first a year and a half, that really, yeah, you have to become a team, become parents. You have to know how to find your balance again. That's very important.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. You already gave us a lot of tips and tricks on how you cope with the limitations of the autism and the ADHD. Do you want to add something there?
Yeah, I
Okay.
always set alarms on my phone. I
Ah.
also have my agenda up there, because a physical agenda, I always losing it. So, and then I can see, I also plan the food for the week. Um, when do I have time to cook? When do I have not? When do I have time to get groceries? When do I have not? Um, and just talking with people to ventilate all your thoughts. Are there is there something to do about something, or just you need to vent it out? Um, I use meditation a lot, yoga nidra. It's also on YouTube or Spotify. When I sometimes you only have 5 minutes, but you can take a pause and take a rest. I really need guided meditation, because going like crazy. So this is also very important, the physical health, the mental health. Um, yeah, emotion regulation. I also have a medicine for that now. You can sometimes you can do without. I'm very if you can, it's great, because yeah, then you learn so much about yourself and your limitation. But sometimes you need help, and I don't see that, or the coaches or the housekeeping, as a shameful thing, because I always say, when people need a wheelchair, they need a wheelchair. They are also not ashamed of that. So
Yeah.
you don't have to be ashamed about the help that you need. You just have to accept it. It's hard sometimes, but you have to accept that you are like you are. I don't often use the term disabled, but I am. I have some limitation in life. So I have to deal with that and accept that. And if I accept that, then my life will be so much better. So that's also something for the people who are watching now. Just yeah, be okay with that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally agree with that. It's very important what you just said. Yeah. To
yeah,
accept where we are, and every one of us is struggling, has a battle inside them, and we cannot see that.
yeah.
And
When I was young, I was always a bit envious about people who, like, they were taking the public transportation like nothing. I thought, aren't they afraid? Aren't they afraid that the train will fall out, or the bus will get late? All those things that were running through my head, and they're like, they don't seem to have a care in the world, but they do. But we often, especially in the Western culture, we don't talk about it. We are not open about it. It would be so helpful if we were,
yeah.
because then you know you're not alone in a lot of stuff. So, and that's also very helpful in the Netherlands, on Facebook or on like Instagram. We have groups um, of people with autism who share their experience in life and share tips and share support to each other. That's very important too.
Mm.
And also in the Netherlands, you have NVA. It's the Dutch autism group, sporting group. It's initially for parents of children with autism, but they want to be also there for the autism people themselves. They really make progress with that. Also with diversity, because first your first image of people with autism is it's a little boy who likes trains, very stereotypical.
Yeah,
But now they know people of color can have it, people of different cultural backgrounds, not only white cis males, um, and also women. And you have also a fan, uh, female autism network, the Netherlands.
yeah,
That's very important. That it's spreading awareness about autism in girls, in females, or more at the feminine type. You can also have an autism that's more a feminine type, even if you are a cis male or maybe trans or something in between. Um, but it's very helpful too.
mm-hmm. Yeah, in the Netherlands, the support system is really good. I notice now talking to all these different women, and you are in a much better position, I would say, than in other countries.
Yeah, when I was on a gathering that was hosted by the NVA, um, that's for people with autism, but also for professionals and for uh, parents with someone who has autism. I spoke to someone who was from Russia,
Yeah.
and he found out that he has autism, but they didn't acknowledge that in Russia. They say he was schizophrenic because he was very smart, but he didn't fit the bill of being a normal person. So he must be really, really out of his mind.
Mm,
But he was just autistic. There was nothing really wrong with him because I think people with autism and a lot of other things like dyslexic people or ADHD, they are neurodiverse. We are differently wired, but we're not strange. We're just different. Like people with different skin colors or different race, you can say, oh, he's like da 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 da, so he must be really weird. No, that's not
yeah.
the case. You can't say that about somebody's race or about somebody's skin color. Why can you say that about somebody's mental difficulties? That's really odd to me.
Mm, mm, yeah, I understand it. Yeah, thanks for your list. If you are watching now and you are autistic too, I have put together a short course which you can take on your own. It's free. You just need to sign up. The link will be below and you can use it for yourself. I give away my own tips to cope with the everyday life struggles. There is also meditation and EFT tapping, for example. Okay, Monica, do you have a take-home message for autistic women who are listening, maybe women with children? We would like to hear
Yeah,
that.
that's a topic that's really um, you hear a lot about these times because there are a lot of women who found out, most of the women who found out they are autistic have an autistic child, and then they found out they are autistic themselves. So a lot of them like, oh, but that's the way that's why I'm struggling. But you also have the early diagnosis who are figuring out if they can become a mom. If you are in that stage, you can talk about it with your relatives, with people who know you very well, and have an open conversation about it. Could I be able to be a parent? I think everybody should have that conversation, at least in their head, at least with their partners. Um, but if you are autistic or neurodivergent, it's extra important. You can also go to your midwife in the Netherlands, maybe in other countries as well. I don't know. You can ask about that. And you can have uh, before conception conversation about, like, I have these medical problems or I have these mental issues. Do you think I am a fit parents? Are there things to think about beforehand? So you can make a plan. Um, when I also talked about having a postnatal depression, then I made a emotion regulation plan. Uh, it's something. It's in four categorized. One, you're feeling okay, you're in the green. Orange, you're a bit irritated. Red, you're like ah, and black, then you're totally out of your mind. You're not approachable anymore, and someone has to take care of you. So if you know all these steps, then you know where you're in. Oh, maybe I'm in orange. Oh, I'm leaning towards red. You then think, oh, maybe I should meditate. Maybe I should take 10 minutes for myself. Maybe I should take tea or something. So if you know these steps for yourself, and your partner and your environment also know as well what is helpful and in what stage you're in. So this emotion regulation plan is now hanging in the inside of the kitchen um, cupboard, I think, in your closet, because also the after the midwife comes, they help you with the baby, take care of in the Netherlands for about 8 days or something, and the can also look at in what kind of states are you, and do you need an intervention of some kind, like the cup of tea or 10 minutes rest or anything. Um, that's very helpful, and the headphones already thought about that. Um, and rest and asking for help is vital. Taking care of you is vital when you are a parent. So that are the most important things I think you should uh, take care about. And also in the Netherlands, there are some support groups of women who have autism, um, and you can talk about these things and ask for tips, ask for help, or just a listening ear. That's very important.
Mhm.
Don't forget about yourself.
Yeah, that's the most important.
Yeah, in
Okay.
life, but then in general,
Yeah, of course, for everyone, I think. Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Monica. It was a pleasure to talk to you today.
yeah, likewise.
Thank you. I think you shared some valuable information about autism and being a mother. And if you are watching today and you like these interviews, please like and subscribe. And I will be back with a new one soon. Thank you and bye to Monica.
Bye.
Okay.